Hello there, this is Jessamine of Jessamine Creates. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a new episode for you guys. We are visiting the exhibit of Gustav Klimt in Amsterdam. This video is already made a year ago, in November, somewhere in November, and I just uploaded it today because I thought of making a sketch to the exhibit. And during this trip, I'm bringing my classmate Heidi, and later on we're gonna meet up one classmate also somewhere in Amsterdam, Laura. She lives in Amsterdam, so we just have to meet up here in this place. So here we are in Amsterdam train station, Central train station, and then we are gonna take a tram from the station to Museum Square. And I'm making a time lapse just to make this vlog a little bit faster. So here we are in Museumplein, and it's actually this place is multiple museums next to each other. So if you want to visit Amsterdam, you have to visit this place. Oh, this is the Museumplein. The Gustav Klimt exhibit is very popular this time of the year because he's one of the famous artists also, not only in Europe but also worldwide. She's an Austrian artist, and what I like with Gustav Klimt is his way of expressing a drama on his work through female figures most of the time, and also those gold effect on his paintings, but also the patterns he uses through his paintings that makes it a little bit dramatic, but also give a little bit of friendly to look at. And it's nice because before Gustav Klimt lose his work, his technique, his style, he is actually studied classical method of painting. So that's one things I really I like to see his work from the beginning and how he changed later on in his painting life. So like for example with this one, he is starting to introduce more female figures, but also more the patterns on his work. And what I really love with his work is those the softness of this skin, or also the figures that almost look like transparent, but the hardness, the contrast of patterns and the softness of the face, it gives more playful to look at. And it's actually okay to have something like that, because sometimes I always feel intimidated when I paint before very soft skin faces on my work, but sometimes I just want to make it hard on my details, like for example the elements except for skin. And I thought it's wrong to do it, but when I look at Gustav Klimt, somebody told me before, you have to study the work of Gustav Klimt. I look on his work and I study his technique, and then I just accepted my work. I recognized my style because I already knew after that Gustav Klimt did also the same thing. So actually, art is a form of things that you can express without saying anything, without being accepted to what other people will say. You have to do it, and once you enjoy it, it's art. And I think the most important thing is when you create something, it has to be from your heart, and you create it for yourself and not to satisfy the eyes of other people. Appreciation from the viewers actually happens once you already enjoy your work, and once you created something from your heart. So the trip to Gustav Klimt exhibit is finished. We are heading to the store and buying some souvenir. Of course, we cannot leave this place without buying a souvenir. So these two magnet souvenirs is actually my favorite paintings from Gustav Klimt. And we are heading to cafe now, drinking coffee with Laura and Heidi. And we had a great time. It's so tiring, but really enjoyed the most of my time with Heidi in the train and also in the station and also in the museum. So now we're heading home because we are tired. And this is Asen, by the way. I'm gonna show you now my sketch on my sketchbook with the Gustav Klimt inspiration. I have this page on my sketchbook that is the last page, which I told you already before. If you follow me already for a long time, I always sketch last the first page of my sketchbook because I always feel intimidated to start with very clean page, so I always skip this first page and I always sketch at the end of my sketching. I really like Judith painting, so I thought like I'm gonna sketch it here, half of the page on the right side, but I just realized that when I draw the painting of Gustav Klimt, I realized how complicated the painting is because of the patterns and everything. And then I'm using a watercolor here, and this, I think this is gonna be easier if I use gouache, but I use watercolor because I don't know why I use watercolor that time. Maybe I was just in a mood to use my Daniel Smith watercolor because it's been so long time I didn't use it. So I did it here, and then I just realized like it's difficult. So what I did is I just do a rough sketch with pencil, and then later on do the block ins, do the basic form of my sketch on the canvas or anything on a surface, and then I'm not doing any details, but just indications of something like skin color and the dark area, the background, and the cool and warm tone. I added a darker color of my palette. I think it's paints gray black, and then I was not really satisfied with it because it's not black enough. What if I'm gonna add something different here? So I decided to leave it first like that, let it dry, because normally watercolor always dry lighter than when it's wet. So I wait till it's very fully dry, and while I'm waiting I added this indication of some features on the face. I didn't really paint the eyes, so I'm just putting some eye socket and the darkest part of the nose and also cheekbones, and then later on with my clean brush I fade some dark lines on it just to give that indication where I'm gonna put my details later on for the face. So also the shadows and light values are also enhancing here, and then I was just bored with doing watercolor, so I decided to skip that process, and I added again a fun paint, which is my gold acrylic ink. I really love this one, and I always want to have a reason to use this one. So thank God, because it's Gustav Klimt, I can use this all the way. The nice thing with this acrylic ink, it's waterproof, so it dries also permanent on the surface. Because it's acrylic, of course, it's with acrylate binder on it, so it stays there for good. So later on, when I'm gonna add the details of the hair and things like that, they're not gonna blend in the painting, because I had that before with watercolor pearlescent color gold. I mix it with my watercolor, they just blend together, and my painting is all gold pigments everywhere, so I don't really like that. So that's why this Amsterdam acrylic ink is perfect for this. And then so I add the features on the face, a little bit of dark values there, here and there, not too much, otherwise it's shocking. So I also put some blushes and accentuate the breast area and hands, and also the head there on the right side, to make it more obvious that it's something there's something on that. But I don't want to put too much details there, because it's a painting where but I like to emphasize more about Judith and the gold thing. And that's it. I added some background, and then later on after this I added the Indian ink on my painting, so on the hair part, the darkest part, and later on the details from the patterns I also use Indian ink there. It's waterproof, so I don't have to worry about mixing the gold and the black there. That's it. So that's how I build up my sketch this time. Let me share you something that I learned lately about sketching. When I sketch before, there's always two start. First, when I'm not in the mood but I like to sketch, so I'm always skeptical. And the second is I'm really in a mood and I know already what I'm gonna do, so it's gonna be a good sketching. So most of the time it's always on the first one, which is skeptical or a bit negative when I'm sketching, like I'm the worst illustrator ever, or I'm a worst artist ever. You know, that feeling, sometimes I have that. And when I sketch something, when I have that in my head in the beginning, I feel like the whole process of my sketching is always correcting what I'm doing. So I don't really making something nice, but I'm trying my best to make it nice. But because my head is trying to tell me that it's gonna be worse, it's gonna be bad, so I always correcting. I always trying to prove it that there's gonna be good on this painting. But sometimes, most of the time, it end up well. It end up good, but sometimes not. So I can see it that my work is too tacky or overdone or too much, because I'm trying my best to look, to be accepted, to for me that it looks okay. And that's a very dangerous thing, and I learned lately how to change that. And I just realized that, like, when I learned it from my teacher, that when I do something like that, try to make a plan. Don't expect too much on your work. Just try to make a basic plan, a basic principles, as basic shapes on your sketch, and make a good composition. Doesn't matter what it is, the good composition is a good start. And also try to make a break every now and then on your work. So if you think you're becoming skeptical on your work, go for a walk or take some drinks and go back with the fresh eyes. And then sometimes you always see beautiful things already in the beginning or the halfway stage of your work. You don't have to do too much anymore. And I realized that helps me a lot later on. And I see it's also my confidence also build better because of that. And what he also told me is that when you do something, when you start, make it fast, but once you're already focused on some details of making a message on your work, then it's time to slow down, because sometimes you miss the spot that is already okay. So that's the lesson what I want to share with you. Maybe it will help you also in your process as an artist, and I hope it also give you inspiration to develop on your art. And don't give up, just keep on sketching, because that's the best start. Thank you for watching this, and I hope you're inspired by Gustav Klimt and also inspired by my process of sketching. Have a nice day. See you next week. Bye.